Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. My name is Nimesh, Radia, and I'm your host. I always love starting each episode by saying thank you. I feel so very blessed with this podcast, the people it's reaching. You know, through these times when we're going through so many shifts, and the message I'm getting is like people are finding this podcast when they need it most. So I'm so very grateful for that. I started this podcast by really wanting to guide people on their journey, and on a weekly basis, we channel, we share whatever is in our hearts, whatever we feel is needed by the collective, the community. So it's nice to get that confirmation. I got quite a few messages on the podcast release on Thursday. It's the first solo one I've done in a while. I mean, I do a monthly Akashic one, but this is the first time. The Akashic one's very much a channeled Akashic message. This was the first time I did one where it was just me talking. So it's kind of different. It's kind of interesting, but thank you for your support. I'm an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. I love what I get to do. I get to guide people to truly be their authentic selves, hold space while people are going through an awakening, they're going through a shift. I provide insights and messages, and it's really interesting. Sometimes I don't want to be right. But yeah, I found a few instances recently with clients where, kind of what I predicted came through, and just means that people are going through an awakening. And I get to guide people. I get to expand people. I know my questions and the way I speak touches people's hearts and souls in a different way, but it also triggers. So I'm blessed with the role of being the expander, and I'm grateful for it. And this podcast wouldn't be where it is today. And even though she was mocking my intro before we start, I was trying to get her to start, but she refused. Apparently, people would miss my beginning. But anyway, this podcast wouldn't be where it is today without my beautiful co-host, the amazing, the stunning, the healer extraordinaire, and published author, Stacey Brown. Stacey, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Hello, friends. It's so good to be back. My name is Stacey. I'm an intuitive. I do readings for people from around the world. I'm also an Akashic record reader and a spiritual coach and mentor, and a recently published author. My book, Journey to Soul Center, Discovering the Gift of Surrender, is available on Amazon and Audible. I'm really looking forward to pouring into our audience today and seeing where this topic takes us. We love serving, and this is just one of the many ways that we do it. And so I'm excited to see what unfolds today.
And actually, Stacey, while I think about it, we always talk about what we've got coming up near the end, and I was thinking about it this morning. So I wanted to just mention that we have a online event coming up on June the 1st. This is going to be the first type of event that we've done in a while. Me and Stacey do a monthly Zoom call, which is a free 90-minute session. This is going to go deeper over 5 hours. It's I'm sure we'll do a meditation, we'll connect with records, and we'll have lots and lots of conversations. We'll give you, lots of guidance on your journey in this kind of way. It's only $25. You're going to get 5 hours of us. It's on June the 1st, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. EST, and 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. UK. So yeah, I'll include just DM us for the information. We can send you more information. We can send you the link to book. It's just something I'm excited about, something I know Stacey's excited about. It's our way of going deeper with you. This in the podcast, during the Zoom, so many other ways, mentorship, Akashic Records. This, again, just feels different. It's on June the 1st, beginning of summer, and a beautiful time to connect with you. And that's what we'll guide you to do. We'll also have our next Zoom call on the actual full moon on May the 12th. It's on a Monday. It's free for a 90-minute session. We will have a conscious conversation. I'll take you through a guided meditation, normally connected to the moon and the healing of the moon. We open the Akashic Records and we both channel a message. It's another beautiful, beautiful way to connect with us in a different sort of way. So do join us. I'll include the link in the show notes. It's always a beautiful session. I feel so blessed to doing that every month. So, Stacey, before we jump into the topic, how do you feel about the stuff we have coming up?
Well, I'm really excited about our event in June. I feel like it's going to be like our full moon session, but on steroids. And we're going to pour into the people that join us and give you a space to dig deep into that spiritual part of yourself and really connect with others. So I'm looking forward to it. And I love our full moon webinar. It's something I look forward to every month. So I'm excited about that. I just think that we are in a season where we're really blessed to have technology that allows us to connect with people from all around the world. And so I encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity to be with other like minded people and tap into a part of yourself that maybe you don't tap into enough. So I'm excited.
I love it. I love it. And so let's jump into this week's topic. And, every week we kind of pick a topic that we feel connected energetically to and it feels appropriate. We record literally a week before I release, so we try and get into the current energy. The day we're recording is the day after the new moon we've just had. And so this week's topic, we're talking about radical acceptance, loving who you are while you're becoming who you're meant to be. And this for us kind of really is kind of a great example of where we feel we all are right now. I mean, a lot of the clients we've been talking to would resonate with this topic. We are still going through a phase of transition. And I know a lot of people are kind of going through a rebirth. And when you're doing that, there is times where you don't like your old self. There is times when you don't judge when you judge your current life and you don't like your current life. And there's a part of you that wants to accelerate the journey to become this new version and to release the old version of you. And of course, we always encourage you, release the old version of you and embrace the new version. But there's also divine timing to it. And there's also, it's important that you truly take time to accept who you are right now, where you are, what's happening in your world. And right now, I really feel for a lot of us, including me, there's a disconnect between the human and the spirit. The shift the planet's going through is unprecedented. It's never been this level of shifting on the planet for our lifetimes, for sure. And I feel like it's been planned for many lifetimes. But what we're going through is also an embodiment of what the planet's going through. So therefore, you're going to feel a disconnect. You're going to feel a shift. There's going to be times where you don't feel connected to yourself. There's going to be times where you don't like who you are. There's going to be times where you love who you are and you embrace it. And this is just, but the toughest, any healing always comes, the first stage is always awareness, right? Unless you're aware, how can you shift? And listen to this podcast and, listen to people who talk about the shift the planet's going through and just being aware and just looking helps you kind of open the door to awareness, which sometimes, kind of keeps you going and makes your, your spirit, your human, your four bodies kind of acceptable for a while. Because like, oh, look how great I am. I'm aware that the planet's going through a shift. I'm aware that I'm going through a shift. Wow, how cool am I? But the next stage is always acceptance. And that in many ways is harder than awareness, because awareness you do by asking open questions and being honest with yourself and really kind of looking in the mirror. And that's not easy, but in a way, it opens up parts to you. But the next stage is harder in many ways because you have to accept you are this version. You have to accept that maybe there's parts of you don't like. Maybe you have to accept things that you've done, things that you don't, you're not happy about, but you haven't got a time machine. You can't change what's already happened. So accepting who you are in this moment, light and dark, because there's always parts of us we don't like. There's always, it's like Everyone talks about killing the ego. Everyone talks about, pushing the darkness down, all that sort of stuff. You can't. It's like having 3 kids and choosing to only love 2 of them for whatever reason, right? You have to love all of you. That doesn't mean sorry, I said you have to accept all of you. That doesn't mean you don't do the work to continue shifting. But the first stage is always acceptance. That's what we mean by radical acceptance. You have to embrace your whole self, your ego, your dark side, of course, your light. And again, that doesn't mean by accepting you're not going to work on and change. Your ego, as an example, everyone talks about killing the ego. I don't agree with that. I feel like the ego actually is trying to protect you. It stands EGO, Earth Guide only. And it's trying to protect you because if you change, then you may fall, you may hurt yourself. But it's all about balance, right? The ego needs to know that the change and the shift you're going through is all part of your journey, and you don't need protecting. And your spirit and your soul needs to spend more time with the human to kind of help with the journey. But balance between all parts of you is really what's important. Non-judgment of who you are. You've done the best that you could up until this point. And yes, the planet is going through a shift. And yes, your soul has been preparing for this time for many, many lifetimes. But the human is still in shock. The human wants, thinks that things are going really quickly and wants to either accelerate things and move on to the next self, or slow things down, or wants to understand what's next and all this sort of stuff. You have to remember your soul's been preparing for this for many, many lifetimes, and he's ready. He's ready to go. Your spirit is ready to go. But the human, not so much. The human is confused, excited, lost. It's a transition. We've closed so many cycles out in such what feels like a long period of time. I feel like this phase started when lockdown started, right? And which was March 2020. But I feel like in 5 years, we've gone through as much healing as previously would have taken lifetimes. So accepting yourself, starting and being kind with yourself, and radical acceptance, because it is hard. It's so easy to judge. It's so easy to judge yourself right now. So easy to judge others. So easy to let what's happening on the planet consume you. But this really is a moment where you just stop and you accept. You accept whatever you're going through externally is a reflection of something internally. You accept that the people in your world are playing the roles that you asked them to play. You accept whatever your circumstances are your creation. And you choose to fall in love with this version of you. Embracing every part of you and accepting that you don't need fixing. Now, I didn't say you don't need to do some work, you need to continue the healing, you don't need self-care. I said you don't need fixing. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Whatever's for you will find you, and whatever's not for you will miss you. Can you truly accept that? Can you accept this version of you in this moment? Accept you are perfect in this moment, and accept that you don't need fixing. Let us know. That's the first question in this podcast. And Stacey, I'm going to hand over to you. When I say to you that in this moment, can you accept who you are? Can you embrace this whole version of you without needing to be fixed? How does that sound? How would you respond?
I think it's something that so many people face challenges with. And I think when we travel back into our history, we can find that a lot of times these ideas started from the time we were very young, that we either compared ourselves to other people and felt that we didn't measure up, or we had some kind of insecurity that was tapped into that we haven't addressed. And I find that for me, a lot of it comes from childhood and feeling like I wasn't enough when it came to the dynamic with my parents and being raised by a narcissist. I always felt like I wasn't enough. And I absolutely have battled those demons as in my adult life, feeling like I need to do more or I'm not measuring up, putting constant pressure on myself. I don't know if anybody in our audience can relate, but that feeling of pushing and pushing and pushing to be something, to do something, to accomplish something. Like, if I wasn't ticking all those boxes, then what am I doing? And I think so many of us can relate to this feeling of not being enough. But I think there's so much power in accepting who we are right now and allowing ourselves to be in a space where we say, okay, this is who I am, and I'm going to accept all parts of me. Because if you think about it, all the parts of you brought you to where you are right now. The good, the bad, the ugly brought you to this space where you are right now. And you are the person that you are. And if you take away parts of that, then you lose the full experience of who you are. So I absolutely feel this is something that I've struggled with for sure. And it's something that I help people with all the time. And I believe that there is a process that we can go through to accept all parts of ourselves. And I think it begins with loving ourselves, learning how to truly love ourselves and accept all parts of ourselves in an effort to build a stronger bond with ourselves. And it takes time, right? Especially if you've been a person who's beat yourself up for so long and feel like you don't measure up, you're not enough. Those thoughts can play over in your head like a tape recorder. And it takes some time to deprogram those ideas and reprogram the positive thoughts and the healthy thoughts of who we are and what we want to be. And I really believe when we stay in a space of negatively thinking about ourselves, we hold ourselves back from being able to serve. Because ultimately, if you're in a space of insecurity and feeling like you're not enough, you're going to hold back and you're not going to bring to the world what you potentially could if you embraced all parts of yourself and who you are. So I absolutely feel this is so important for so many right now. I know a lot of my clients have struggled with this concept of loving and embracing and accepting all parts of themselves. And it's a process that I've walked a lot of people through, including myself. And there are times where I do really well and I feel really good about who I am and how I'm showing up. And then there are times where I backslide into old ways of being, like, okay, I'm not enough. I didn't do enough. How can I show up as more? Where I go through those motions. And I think it takes a lot of reprogramming to rebuild a new way of being.
Powerful, powerful words. It does take programming, right? And I know sometimes Stacey asks you a question, I don't always answer it for me. And, it's interesting that through this period, even though you do the work, and I like to think I'm aware of who I am and what I've been through and my soul contracts and the rest of it, I'm still human. So there is times where I'm frustrated, right? There is times where I know I'm going through a shift, and there's a part of me that just wants to go through it. There's a part of me that's tired with all the healing, right? I mean, how much healing have we had to do? And it feels like a constant cycle of healing. And when do we actually get to celebrate? And it's so easy to focus on the constant karmic cycles, the constant healing, the constant circle of work that we need to do, and kind of forget the celebration part. But when I look through the past 5 years, I've had so many beautiful moments too, right? So that's another part of it. Take time to celebrate you. Like I said, we've just been through the new moon, and beautiful new moons are a great time to manifest new beginnings. And it does feel like we're entering into new vibration, a new phase, whatever that means. But yeah, I'd be lying if I say there wasn't times where I was frustrated with me. There wasn't times where, I would love to just spend all my time traveling amongst the guides and kind of this human experience was like, can I just not focus on working with guides and that far? But there's a human experience I signed up to in as well. So, the role of a healer, the role of expander, the role of a light worker, whatever you want to call it, you still have the human experience. And in many ways, I feel like we have the human experience in even deeper ways. So be kind to yourself. That's also my focus, is on being kind to myself. I love the work I get to do. I love seeing people shining the light, but also I know I take people to dark places. And I take them to dark places because I need to guide them through it, right? I need to hold their space. In many ways, I channel people's guides to help me. But this path we picked, for many of us, we've chosen to heal a lot of personal and ancestral karma, which means we have to go to deep, dark places. And, some of us here are meant to guide people through that. And that's what we do. So, but we're human too. So we feel there are people's energies too, right? It's like, yes, we protect our energy. Yes, we reset. And yes, we go through our own personal things. So, this journey is a blessing, but also sometimes it's hard. But I won't change it. I won't change the work I get to do. I mean, I spent many years in the corporate space, and I have no regrets leaving that space. Yes, it was more comfortable. Yes, I was earning a really nice salary without, I'd get it. It's not dependent on how many clients I get or whatever, but I still have zero regrets. I know I'm doing the work I'm meant to do. So, and this is it. There's a real fine line between acceptance and being passive. Sometimes people say, well, hold on a second. If my destiny is already laid out, why do I need to do anything? Maybe I'll just wait. You know what? I'll wait for this phase. And then when this phase passes, then I'll embrace. Now, acceptance is accepting who you are today, accepting that everything you've been through is part of who you are today. Not waiting for anything. Neither me or Stacey said anything about waiting. Because you're a soul having a human experience, so what are you waiting for? Accepting where you are is not giving up. It's expansive. So if this resonates, let us know. Let us know that you're choosing to accept and love who you are. Because this what we're asking you to do is, Stacey talked about it, is to fall in love with yourself. And that doesn't mean that you deny the fact that you're going through a deep transformation. That doesn't mean you deny the fact that you're maybe going through a rebirth, and this version of you that we're asking you to love is in the process of dying. I mean, it's like mourning a loved one. You love them, of course you do. So love yourself. Be proud of yourself. It's about navigating the energy of becoming without rejecting who you are now. And that is difficult. I'm totally holding my hands up and saying that's difficult, because it's so easy to, when you go into a phase of acceptance of not liking you, kind of almost getting frustrated. Wait, hold on, I've been doing this for how long? Wait, what did I do? Because once you open awareness, you start to realize, part of my language, the dumb shit you've been doing. But you haven't got a time machine, so you can't go back. So accept who you are. Accept that you did the best job that you can. And then embrace this new version of you. But continue working on the transformation. And that's the challenge. And the other thing that comes into all this is your ego and your inner dialogue. I mentioned it earlier, ego, earth guide only. Talk to your ego. Your inner dialogue. Some of the conversations you have with yourself, if you had with friends, they wouldn't be friends anymore. And recognize the difference in the energy of your ego compared to your guides. I talked about it in the last episode, the episode I released. I can't remember the date. Would have been around Thursday, I think Thursday the 24th, something like that, where I talked about connecting with your guides. The messages from your guides, your intuition is light. It's not heavy. Your ego is always, most of the time, going to be very emotional, very heavy, very loud. The voice of your soul, the voice of your guides tends to be quiet. doesn't need to shout, has power in the voice. It's normally the first thing you hear. And then your ego takes over. But again, your ego isn't a bad thing. It's not trying to control you. It's just trying to help you to stay who you are, because if you change, you may hurt yourself. So, Stacey, how do you manage your ego? How do you manage to love yourself in this phase, talk to your ego while embracing the transformation you're going through? And Stacey, you're humanly going to one of the biggest transformations of your life. I know you are. So please do share.
Yeah, I'm absolutely going through a massive shift right now, and it can leave room for a lot of self-doubt and insecurity. I have applied for a visa to move to the UK, and I'm in transition of waiting on that visa and feeling very insecure. I know that I am doing what is right for me, but there's other people who are being impacted, and I find myself kind of churning about that and about taking next steps and what that looks like. And it can tap into a lot of insecurity. Am I doing the right thing? Am I enough? Am I living authentically? Am I being true to myself? Am I doing the right thing? These are all questions that I'm asking myself right now as I make this decision. And it can be challenging, but I have found, I'm going to start with the foundational things. So I have found that when I get enough rest, my ego is quieter. Okay. When I'm tired, my ego is even louder. And that voice of insecurity and self-doubt and questioning gets louder. So the first thing I would say is you've got to make sure that you're getting proper rest. And I know that that sounds so foundational, but I do believe that it's really important, because the less rested you are, the louder that voice is, and the harder it is to navigate through it because you're tired. So I would say getting proper rest is super important in this season. I would say another thing that's really important for me to decipher the difference between my soul and my ego is my writing. And I talk on here about journaling a lot. I've talked about the impact that it's had on my life. I've helped people navigate through the challenges of writer's block and feeling uncomfortable with writing. But there's something to be said for taking the time to be introspective through written word that allows me to see the difference between my soul and my ego and kind of that battle that I face. And it gives me a space to use positive affirmations and put myself in a more positive, uplifting space, which I think we need to be in order to navigate through this season that we can have where we're doubting ourselves or we're questioning ourselves. So I absolutely think that writing has been key. And then I think the other thing is taking time for myself where I have no responsibilities or I can take a break. I find a lot of healing through walking and running. And there's a local park that I go to kind of bring myself inward and really do some soul searching. I feel like all of these things are really important to connecting with yourself. You want to be your own best friend, right? And the way that you do that is through building a relationship with yourself. And you can't build a relationship with yourself if you're not willing to take the time to do it. And so I know a lot of us can be uncomfortable with like alone time or time to ourselves. Some people embrace it, some people don't. But I feel like it's a really important component to embracing who we are and accepting who we are, is taking that time with yourself to build that relationship and build that foundation so that it's strong. And it starts with what we do in our day-to-day life. How we show up for ourselves day to day really, really matters. And the more that we take time to be introspective and reflective, the better equipped we are to battle those demons that may come up. And I think they come up for all of us. I think even the most secure people struggle with insecurity at some point and feeling like they're not enough. And I just believe that the way to navigate through that is to make sure that we're spending that time one to one with ourselves in order to be reflective and build that self love muscle. And it takes time. Okay, friends, it takes a lot of time, especially if you've been through trauma in your life and you have been made to feel like you're less than or insecure. There's work to be done there to build that relationship with yourself and build that trust again. And I feel like I'm fully committed to that in this season. Like that's what keeps me going, is making sure that I'm having that time and that I'm being introspective and reflective, and that I'm doing it through writing. I'm doing it through time with myself. I'm doing it through resting. And it shows in my work that I do, right? I feel like I'm a better mentor. I'm a better healer because I'm putting into action the things that I recommend to people all the time.
Powerful, powerful stuff. And, you know, well, Stacey says you can't underestimate how important self-care is right now. And accepting yourself and kind of being present in the moment, a lot of that does come from your self-care, right? Your time in nature, your time meditating, your time, you know, some sort of physical activity. It gives you a really strong base that actually it's like breathing air. You know, you can't, going through this phase without having strong self-care is going to make it even worse. And, you know, Stacey talked about time on your own, and, you know, if you struggle to be on your own, it's usually a sign that there is some healing ready to be done within you. And, you know, it's important that you fall in love with you. If you can't spend time with yourself on your own, then how are you expecting other people to do it? I guess for me, I've probably gone too far the other way. I'm super comfortable being on my own, and, you know, sometimes when I'm in a large crowd, I really feel people's energies, and so, you know, finding balance is also really important. But the other part is, you know, it's really interesting. I remember a sentence that a quote from somewhere, I'm not sure where, but, you know, why spiritual growth isn't about changing who you are; it's about remembering who you've always been. And that's the thing with this journey, is we're going back to our higher self. We're going back to who our soul, who our true version of ourselves is, you know, because we've been through life, we've been through trauma, as Stacey was talking about, we've been through so many cycles, and in some ways it's jaded us, it's made us tired, it's, you know, given us all this programming that we're trying to release. So be kind to yourself. You've chosen to go through a lot in this lifetime, like we all have. And, you know, radical acceptance is really, it's that energetic shift that happens when you stop fighting where you are and who you are. Releasing the shame, the guilt, and the inner critic, and giving yourself space for self-compassion. And falling in love with you, letting go of, I talked about earlier, letting go of I'll be happy when. What are you waiting for? You're a soul having a human experience. So, you know, the human experience is now. It's really interesting. Again, if I look at the conversations I'm having, a lot of last week was all around talking to my clients about truly experiencing joy. Laughing. How much through this journey have we taken it so seriously, the healing and everything else, releasing the karmic cycles, doing the work. But are we enjoying it? When was the last time we actually had a good laugh? Laughing and crying is such a big part of the spiritual journey. It's part of the human experience. So being present in this moment, experiencing joy in this moment, pick the things that you're most joyous about. What can you celebrate? Who can you call and just have a good laugh with? What can you watch that's going to give you that belly full of love? If you have kids, can you play with them unrestricted, just and have so much fun and so much giggling? Maybe your kids bring out your inner child. If you haven't got kids, then maybe you've got nephews and nieces, or maybe just take your inner child out to a park and go on the swings and just have fun. Be childish, have fun, and let go of I'll be happy when. Because your soul having an experience, and if you wait, then whenever this next phase finishes, you'll then be waiting for the next phase, and you'll be waiting. No, you're a soul. You chose this path. You chose to be here. The more you can be present in this moment, the more that you can embrace it, and you start to radically accept yourself. I get this is a deep, deep topic, and it's sometimes when we speak, we make things sound easy. It really isn't. I really, the radical acceptance is probably one of the hardest things we do, because when you're going through a transition, you do judge yourself. You do go through phases. But what we're trying to do here is just increase your awareness. And then you add the other slant to it, kind of the role that other people play in your life, the soul contracts. Understanding that you are part of a much larger journey. I was talking to a client this morning about how, what she's going through is actually connected and aligned to what the planet's going through. So accepting that actually you chose to heal ancestral karma. Accepting that you're part of the transition that this planet's going through. Exploring past life patterns and ancestral imprints, and maybe looking at how much pain you've released, and accepting that actually when you tap into your maternal and paternal ancestors, you feel the pain they went through, because you have that power. Looking at the souls in your world and realizing that every soul in the world you have a contract with, and they're playing the role that you asked them to play. If somebody's causing you pain, that's hard to accept. But then maybe you have a soul contract with them for you to experience pain, and that's part of your rebirth. That's part of you have to accept this version of you to become the next version. So Stacey, when you look at the people in your life and you understand that you have a soul contract with them, and they're part of this radical acceptance and this transformation. And as you said earlier, there's people in your life that are impacted by your decision. Of course there is. How does that make you feel? How are you working with the soul contracts and understanding why there are certain people in your world?
So I absolutely feel that, again, this is about being reflective and really taking a look at the people that are in my life and those relationships that lift me up and allow me to feel supported versus the ones that drag me down, and really connecting with the people around me that make me feel inspired and uplifted. And, I would say one of my greatest teachers is my youngest daughter. We went out in the yard yesterday and kicked the soccer ball around, and she's just so present and in the moment. And that time with her is so precious because she's so intentional with it. And it's something that when I see her being present and in the moment, it makes me want to be even more present and in the moment, because I'm seeing how much she's embracing whatever it is she's doing right in front of her. And she's not thinking about the next thing and what she has to do and how it's going to look. And she's just being present. And I'm learning a lot from her and that presence, and absolutely feeling like our kids can be our greatest teachers. They can show us how we used to live before the world told us what we were supposed to do differently, And so there's great power in that time with her and feeling like she's really teaching me. And I feel like I'm surrounded by souls that are lifting me up and really making sure that the connections that I have are ones that are powerful, where I feel supported and seen and heard and loved.
I love it. I love it. Just to correct you, it's called football, not soccer. Just for the record. It actually reminds me of a moment. I spent a lot of time in the spiritual realm, but there is, the human part of me has lots of loves too, and one of them is football. I support Liverpool, and hopefully that doesn't mean that all of a sudden lots of people drop off. But we won the league yesterday, so I definitely had a human moment. The people that live with me kind of probably saw me screaming more than they normally do. They're probably thinking what's going on, because normally I'm quite a calm soul, but you know what? It's important that we live the moment, so we celebrate them too. So yeah, there was definitely lots of human moments yesterday, and lots of joy. And this is your reminder to experience joy too. And Stacey talked about it, right? Simple moments of playing football with her daughter. Just a joke, by the way, guys. But playing with her daughter and just being present. And that's so beautiful. That's just being present in the moment. There's so much joy around us every day, walking nature, spending time with loved ones, spending time with yourself, going for a drive, going for a run, going for a walk, going into meditation. All of that, it really is, it regulates your nervous system. Breathing, such a powerful technique. Use the 4-4-4 technique, which is breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds. So powerful. Such an easy thing to do, breathe. We do it so naturally. But taking a deep breath just allows you to connect with the prana, the life force that you are, in such a deeper way. And we have to understand that healing isn't linear. It isn't like, when you go through your journey of the past 5 years, you'll see that you went through all sorts of zigzags. And this is the fun of this journey, is that we chose a challenging life. But if you can truly focus on the joyous moments, explore your shadow with curiosity, not judgment. Accepting that your current self is not in the way. Your current self is the way. Unless you accept this version of you, unless you go through this phase, you can't move on. So, it sounds easy for me to say, but radically accepting yourself, you have no choice. And also remember that we have 4 bodies: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And when we're going through this kind of shift, all 4 of your bodies are going to feel it. So sometimes check in with yourself and say, hold on a second, this shift I'm feeling it more physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. Check in, and maybe that insight will help you. But your body, your physical body, is going to go through it. There's going to be times you feel tired. There's going to be times maybe your back aches or something's going on. Your body's such a beautiful clue of understanding what you're going through. This journey is not about it's about remembering who you are, not fixing. Changing your language and changing the conversation you have with yourself. I talk about it all the time, but just change from how do I think about this to how do I feel about it. And Stacey talked about it, right? It's that changing your daily routine. What can you do today that you know is going to shift you? Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's taking a walk. Maybe it's time in nature. Maybe it's spending more time with loved ones and being present. Noticing the moon cycle. Next full moon's on, I think it's on May the 12th. Moons are powerful. I'm not a big fan of following astrology and all that sort of stuff. I feel it's much more human. There's a lot of truth in it. I'm not telling you not to. But the moon cycle does affect me. So knowing things like that. But for me, the biggest thing is accepting you are exactly where you're meant to be. How often through this phase are we always talking about this phase and going through a shift? And when we get through this shift, things will be so much better. I feel like I've been talking about this energy has been intense, and I've been waiting for the energy not to be as intense for a while. And yeah, it's different now, but I'm not saying it's not as intense. So, just such a powerful time. And knowing that you have the power, you're remembering who you are. So the universe is not going to give you anything you can't handle. You have so much love and support from your guides right now. There's more messages, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people saying, well, I don't really get messages. And then go and listen to the last episode, or the Thursday episode just gone, so Thursday 24th. You have more messages coming through than ever before. You have guides. You just have to trust they're there. This really is a trustful. This really is a disconnect from the human and the spirit. Remember, your higher self already loves you. This version of you already exists. Can you love this version of you, as well as loving the version of you that you're creating? So, Stacey, as we start closing out this episode, any guidance, any thoughts, any journal prompts, anything you want to share, over to you.
I just want to encourage our listener to be intentional with what you do with your time. It really does matter how you show up in the world and how you take the time to nurture yourself and nurture that relationship that you have with yourself. And it's something that you can't just do in a day. It's something that you have to do on a regular basis in order to connect with yourself. And so I would encourage you to take out your journal today and ask yourself, what are you doing to build a relationship with you? What practices do you have in place to build that relationship with yourself? And if the paper sits blank, then you know that it's time to reevaluate how you're showing up with yourself and what you're going to do. And my next question to you would be, what can you do to show up for yourself and build that relationship with yourself if you're not already doing it? I really believe that what we do on a daily basis has a huge impact on the relationship that we build with ourselves and how we accept ourselves and how we show up in the world and what our relationships are like with other people. There's just this ripple effect that it has. And if you're not happy with where your life is, it starts with you, my friend. It starts with what you're doing to show up and allow the universe to show off. And I really believe that this is something that you can change at any point in your life if you choose to. But I also believe that a huge part of this is accepting, like Nimesh said, accepting where you are is where you're meant to be and trusting that process completely, even when it feels uncertain.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for that, Stace. And, if I just to summarize, it feels like another powerful episode. We explored the importance of radical accepting who you are right now, while still allowing for space and growth and becoming who you're meant to be. This journey, radical acceptance, really is at a soul level. You're accepting this journey, this person you are, this soul that's embodied this journey. And there is a balance between embracing the now and evolving into your new self. And it's you can only evolve into that new self if you accept this version. Knowing the importance of your ego and the voice, the inner critic versus the voice of your soul, and recognizing the difference. The importance of grounding and self-care and truly focusing on you. And accepting you're not broken. Be kind to yourself. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Your soul chose this moment. Your soul chose to heal so much ancestral karma. You're more loved. You're deeply loved through every moment that's becoming your guides, your soul family. And look for communities. Look for people in your world who can support you. So many clients I'm working with, it's like really interesting when they look at the support system they created when they're going through the shift, actually is helping them now. So are you creating the support system around you? Are you encouraging people that hold your space to be part of your world? Be kind to yourself. Remember, this version of you that you're becoming already exists. And the bridge to really kind of get there is loving who you are right now in this moment. Exactly as you are, knowing that nothing is missing. We are sending you so much love and light. We love what we get to do. We love the support that we can give. And my message to you right now is the universe loves you. Your guides love you. We love you. And in this moment, can you fall in love and love yourself and accept who you are? As we talked about earlier, we have a couple of things coming up. The full moon webinar, beautiful 90 minutes. It's actually scheduled on the full moon itself on the 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. PST. Do join us. It's a beautiful, beautiful way to connect with us in a different way than it is listening to the podcast. Also to mention, on June the 1st, we have the online event, which will be for 5 hours, where we truly go deep on your journey, guide you to radically accept who you are, to fall in love with this version of you, then helping you to release this version of you, to fall in love with the new version. And I totally get the paradox of this journey, right? There's wait, hold on. So this version of me is dying, but you want me to fall in love with it? Yeah, because this person that you're letting go of is the person that's got you to who you are today. You wouldn't exist without the version. So of course, fall in love with you, and we'll guide you through those sessions. So sending everyone so much love and light. Thank you for allowing us to guide you on this journey. And Stacey, I'm going to hand over to you to close us out.
What another beautiful episode. It's so good to be able to pour into our audience and give you a space to be introspective and reflective about how you're living your life and what you can do to be the best version of yourself. We're here for you to support you in any way you need. You can book a free discovery call with myself and Nimesh. We can walk you through the programs that we have and how we can support you on your journey to healing. We're here for you in all the ways. So all you have to do is reach out for support. We're just a DM away. Thanks for another powerful episode.
Thank you. Love and light at all, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Bye for now.